Hello, I hope you're doing well. I am Milad Kambari, and welcome to the educational video introducing the Live Link plugin between 3ds Max and Substance Painter. The job of this plugin is to automatically show any changes that occur in Substance Painter or 3ds Max in the opposite software in real time, according to the settings we configure. Let's start together. In the first step, let me tell you how to install the script. It is very simple. From the scripting section, select Run Script, and I open its 3ds Max script. We must run both the 3ds Max script and its Substance Painter version. In Substance Painter, it is enough, let me turn this off, to open the plugin folder. Place your plugin script in the Plugins folder. After you have placed your script, click the Reload Plugins button. Click Reload Plugins folder, and here it shows you the SP 3ds Max Live Link option. When you click on it, if the Live Link window does not open, right-click on this top area and start the 3ds Max Live Link. This way, we can run both plugins in both softwares. This one is 3ds Max to Substance Painter, and that one is Substance Painter to 3ds Max. Their names are also clear at the top. Now, let's see together what features it has. I will start with a very simple model. I'll start with a teapot. I bring this teapot. Naturally, it has no material. I want to send this teapot to Substance Painter. To do this, first click Set Select Object here, and then click Send Mesh to Substance Painter. The first time we send a project to Substance Painter, it doesn't show it to us. Pay attention. The first time you want to send the project, it won't show it to us unless we manually go and bring the project. Look like this. I click Open Folder, click Mesh, and bring my project. Now that I brought this project, okay, well, the project is ready here. Now we must establish the Live Link. I click Start Live Link here in 3ds Max, and I also click Start Live Link in Substance Painter. As soon as we clicked Live Link here, it became connected in both softwares. Look at this part. In the log section, it is giving us data on what is happening. I've done some things to keep your workflow light so it doesn't take up much GPU or RAM. I will explain further. One of its parameters is to show us in the log what is happening. Now look what that means. Right here, I had no material in Substance Painter, but in my 3ds Max, as soon as I clicked, it showed it was being materialized. Here, it showed the automatic import texture section, and in fact, it was showing it to me in the log, but wasn't applying the changes until we click on our scene. As soon as we click, it shows the changes. This process helps us not to be constantly in a reloading state, which would consume a lot of RAM and GPU and cause your 3ds Max to crash. Because if 3ds Max constantly tries to reload, it will crash. So I set it this way so that whenever you click, you see the changes. I want to show you a point here. If you apply any change to your model, you can see the changes in Substance Painter. You can send the change both manually and automatically. We'll send it once manually. For example, I make a change to this here and click Send Mesh to Substance Painter. Here in Substance Painter, it showed the changes without needing to click anything. Now let's go back to 3ds Max. For example, move this model down. Let me check the automatic export mesh change box. I bring this down, bring it here for example, bring this here. Okay, now we wait a few moments. It shows in Substance Painter. In Substance Painter, it waits up to 3 seconds at most. If in 3ds Max, it waits up to 3 seconds, and if it sees no further changes, it sends the model for us. So that's it for this part. Now I have the live export box checked here too, meaning any change I make in the substance. If 3 seconds pass and no more changes are applied, it shows it to me in 3ds Max. I'll decrease this time. I'll set it to 1 second, meaning I change the color of something here, for example. I set its color to red here. Look here, automatic is on. It even announces here that the changes were sent. I haven't done anything. It applies and says changes were sent, but it doesn't show it in the viewport because of that same scene management. Once we click, the changes are shown to us here. It doesn't matter where. One click inside 3ds Max and the changes will be shown to you. However, as we go further and work on a project together, a project that is simultaneously rendering, you will notice there that clicking isn't even necessary anymore. During the rendering process, especially when we have interactive renders, I removed this clicking requirement so you can see the effects quickly in your interactive renders. There, you no longer need to click, and this causes our renders to sync with our Substance Painter very attractively, and the changes are shown in our renders in real time. As we go further, I will show you this, and we will see it together. Well, that's that. Now, any other material I put here, for example, if I put a material with another color here, it shows us the changes in 3ds Max. Look here, as soon as its 1 second is up, it is automatically sent, and here are its changes in 3ds Max. There is another issue regarding live export. If this time is very short, it's not really attractive because it's constantly reloading, constantly sending something, and it will really get on your nerves. Because of this, I included the ability to send whenever you want. This prevents your scene from getting heavy. So, these are the basics and introduction to what happened here. Let's go work on a project together to see what happens in a real project. In the project, I'll bring a project here. Remember, the first time you run the script, it shows you what render engine your scene is on. Look here, the render engine was detected. It says your scene is on the Corona render engine. Where is this useful? We will see further on where it comes in handy. Well, I select this model. I click Set Select Object, so my model is selected. The first time you select your model, it might take, say, a second to read the model. Then click Send Mesh to Substance Painter. Well, why didn't it show the changes here? I said wait a few moments for those changes to arrive. You saw I didn't open a new project. In the same Max file I had when I brought the new model and clicked Send Mesh to Substance Painter, it sent it to Substance Painter for me. Since we had opened the project once, there is no need to bring the project from the Mesh section every time. Once we open it, once we apply changes to it, it is shown to us in Substance Painter. Now I want to make some changes to my model here, and at the same time, I want to activate my 3ds Max render, which is the live link render. Let's activate this simultaneously so we can see the changes together. Well, now in Substance Painter, I'll apply a material. For example, if you want to use a smart material, you must definitely bake. Before baking, let me use a simple material just to show you what happens. It's enough to drag this and drop it on my model, and here the size is very large. Let me make its size a bit smaller, and I click Export Texture. Wait a few moments, it is shown inside 3ds Max. Now an interesting point is I open the material it built for us was a Corona material. Now you saw why it had to detect what our render engine was, so that the material it builds for us is a Corona material. So I've included a feature and defined for it that in materials, like Corona, the Add Gamma to Input checkbox is automatically off, and we must check it. So it detects itself that when it is working on the Corona render engine, it must check the Add Gamma to Input box. So when it sends the normal texture, it checks this box for us and we don't need to do anything. Nevertheless, I have placed a section in the render engine setting. In this section, if you saw your texture applied, you sent your texture, you sent your normal, and it needed this box checked, definitely check it for it so that when it sends the normal, Add Gamma to Input is activated for us. I have also set a process here saying for Corona and V-Ray, the checkbox must be active, but for Arnold and 3ds Max's own ART, it doesn't need to be active. It can be disabled. Just remember to use this only when you need it. By default, I defined for it to do this by detecting the render engine. It detects itself whether the render engine is V-Ray or Corona, then says, okay, it's Corona, so I'll check the box, meaning it has this detection capability. Well, let's give it a smart material too. I must tell you a point here, and that is with what resolution the texture is sent. Here in the texture section, whatever resolution size you've defined here, it is sent with that same resolution, meaning if you set 2048 here, the texture sent to you will be sent with 2048. Look here, it is sending a higher quality texture for us now because we defined the resolution for it to be 2048. It's obvious, you see now how much higher the quality became, and naturally, if it's 4K, it will send it to us with that same resolution. If you want to use 4K mode, I suggest not using live export mode at all because for very heavy textures, reloading these textures makes it highly possible that your 3ds Max will crash as it is reloading several 4K textures for us simultaneously, so keep this in mind as well. Now see that our texture became a very high quality texture. Now let's go to Substance Painter. Here, I want to apply a smart material. Naturally, when we want to apply a smart material, our model must be baked. For baking, I click Bake Mesh Maps and say for my model to be baked. We wait a few moments. If your model doesn't have an unwrap problem, it bakes very quickly and easily. Now my model is baked. Now I'll place a material here, a smart material, and for example, I'll bring a fabric. This is my fabric material. I'll delete that previous one. Now I click Export Texture here. Let's see with what resolution it wants to send. I'll send with 1024 for now. Let it send with 1024 and it shows it to us instantly. Notice that when you are rendering or when the texture is changing, clicking is no longer needed. This point makes it so you don't really need to come inside your 3ds Max and click to do this, because during the rendering process, that scene management and scene lightening have been done automatically. Well, what I did was that all materials come with all their properties, meaning the material comes as PBR from Substance Painter. If I open the materials here, you see the materials came as PBR. Base color, roughness, metallic, it brings them all for us. Well, let's do another example so you can see the materials are being sent to us completely. Here I bring a chrome material. For example, here the chrome material, I apply a mask and say wherever I select for you, apply this new material of mine. Give it this new material only to those spots. Well, same for this side. Click Export. When we click Export, a few moments later, it shows us in 3ds Max. So these also came in Chrome mode. Now, since we don't have an HDR, it doesn't show itself properly, but look right here, because we haven't given an HDR, it's showing black. But look here, it's coming through beautifully with reflections. We can place another material for attractiveness. I'll bring a leather material, for example. To prevent the bumps of the underlying material's bump from affecting our leather bump, I come to the height section and set it to replace. In the normal section, let this also be on replace so that the bump of the underlying layer materials doesn't affect this top layer. Now what do I do here? Here, again, I apply a mask, a block mask, and here I come and define for it to apply this leather material of ours. Well, I've defined it, and I click Export. Let's see the changes here together too. I'll turn its live link on as well. In its live link, for example, I'll turn this off and bring another leather material. I'll place this leather material here and see this mask layer we had here. The changes are being applied simultaneously in 3ds Max without me clicking. Copy, copy. I come here and right-click and paste. As soon as I paste, after it waits 1 second and sees no further changes, it automatically sends the changes for us to 3ds Max. Here we are seeing the changes together. That's it for this plugin. I hope this plugin is also attractive to you and helps your work speed a lot. Good job!